Hello and welcome to another fun-filled edition of Adam's Music Box, where today I want to wish a super happy birthday to one of the greatest guitarists of all time. And this is, of course, Vernon Reid. Now, Vernon Reid came to be known by most people initially in the band Living Colour, and what a band they were. They came out at the tail end of the 80s, but they really sort of paved the way for a kind of more 90s sound in many ways. They were really at this transition, but they were really a band that existed in a unique time and space because they did it their way. They weren't a band chasing any trends. They were a band that were out to create trends. And you had Vernon Reid's virtuosic, aggressive, yet very soulful and very tasteful, in spite of all of those other indicators, very tasteful guitar playing that went so well with the poignant music that was created by the band and that was vocalized by Corey Glover. Just what a great band they were. The first album came out in 1991. It was called Vivid. Time's Up from 1990 is probably my favorite album from Living Colour, and the song Type in particular, which was obviously written by Vernon Reid, who was the main writer for the band. I think that's one of the best songs of all time. Certainly my favorite Living Colour song, but there is a lot to choose from. And the band continued to go from both critical and popular strength to strength in the 90s. The social commentary was always super relevant. The music was sort of a mixture of modern funk, hard rock, heavy metal, really a kind of fusion that they kind of created. There were not many bands necessarily fusing the styles that Living Colour was doing, let alone doing it in the way they did it. And Vernon was really at the center of that. He, of course, had and has a very, very prolific solo career that sort of pushes the boundaries between modern avant-garde jazz, jazz fusion, heavy rock, and basically any other genre you can think of. He's collaborated with the super innovative Bill Frisell. And in 2012, he did an album that I think was really interesting. And this was essentially a Tony Williams tribute. Now, as you know, one of my favorite musicians of all time, my favorite drummer of all time, is Tony Williams. And his band Lifetime, I would argue, was really the first band of the classic jazz fusion era. There were obviously influences that came before, but you could make a strong argument that with his album Emergency at the end of the 60s, Tony Williams invented fusion. Now, in 2012, a band got together and they started playing live, and they even did an album called Spectrum Road, a tribute to the Tony Williams lifetime. And the guitarist was Vernon Reid. It was really a super group because Jack Bruce, who was in the original Tony Williams lifetime, well, for the second album he joined, he was on bass and vocals. John Medeski from Medeski, Martin and Wood played organ and mellotron, and the great drummer Cindy Blackman Santana, who, of course, burst onto the scene playing for Lenny Kravitz, is on the drums. And you should definitely check that out. It really shows Vernon in a light that you might not have heard him in before if you're only familiar with him from Living Colour. He played with Jack Bruce even before that on the 2003 album More Jack Than God. He's collaborated with so many interesting people. Ronald Shannon Jackson, a super innovative avant-garde jazz drummer. He was on all sorts of albums with him before the founding of Living Colour, and he's played with everyone from Public Enemy to the Rolling Stones, well, Mick Jagger in particular. Such an influential guitar player, and someone who really, I think, set in motion what fusiony, virtuosic, jazzy guitar was going to be in the beginning of the 21st century. He was playing that sort of style in the late 80s, and frankly, even in the early 80s. And the reason he was is because he invented that. A true, true trailblazer who's still going very, very strong. When he's coming to a town near you, definitely go to see Vernon Reid, no matter what kind of band he's playing with, jazz, rock, whatever. You're going to enjoy it. Happy birthday again to Vernon Reid. Like, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Take care.